Okay. Does not equal stop.
Yep.
And then if you get to a certain number, we print out I am 29 bitches. I'm at 29 bitches. And when we get to the end, we print Kenny did it.
Okay. What's the begin plus equals negative one?
I don't know. That's why I skipped it.
Okay. Um, okay. So
Wait,
the
wait, 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 wait. No, no, no,
all right,
no.
all right.
I got it because I'm looking over here. At 33, because that's the value that we gave begin.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
we're
we actually reversed
adding
that.
negative,
Let me oh, never mind. Go ahead.
and we're adding a -1 number, and then so essentially we count down from 33, stop at 29, the quote, and then when we get to the end number, we print out Kenny did it.
Okay. And what's the end number?
27.
Awesome. That's exactly what's going on here. So we made a function, a method that will, or a program that will run, and it'll count down from 33 down to 27, and then print you did it. So if we run python food.py, we get 32, 31, 30, 29, I'm at 29 bitches, 28, 27, you did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we talked last time about what a while statement is and what an if statement is. Would you mind just kind of giving me in your own words, what a while statement is and what an if statement is?
Uh, while is a timer until a condition is met.
Yep.
Is to do something once a condition is met.
Yes. Yes. So while will run until a condition is met, and then if runs once a kind of a single event condition is met, right? So in a
Mm-hmm.
while statement, you can have it uh, return true like 18 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or as many times as you want. With an if statement, it's only going to trigger once uh, while that condition is true. Um, it's like doing a subset of the main one that you're iterating through, and that's exactly right. You didn't say anything wrong. I was just rephrasing it into my words, but that's exactly what a while and an if is.
I took notes. That's why I got it right.
Okay, good. Good. I mean, at least what we can do is we can uh, have these little reviews at the beginning, and then hopefully through repetition, they'll start to stick.
Is
Um,
there than statements, or is that the for?
um, there are kind of
Or not
it's
really?
not a than. It's called else. So you have
Oh.
if and else. So let's give an example of this. So I'm just going to go into this little Python editor here, um, just to kind of show something real quick instead of having to do an entire program on it. So if we have x equals 87, I fat fingered 7 there. Um, if x equals 86, print I like tacos, and then else. Wait, is it there? Hold on, I'm thinking about this. Uh,
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
okay, let's.
It's not pertinent to this example.
let me run this and see how that works. I do have to do the... There we go. So I forgot to put the the colon here.
Okay.
So with an if, you have a colon. With an else, you have a colon. I believe you can also do like an else if, right? If
Wow.
can not equal 29, and then after that you can even do your own else. Print, how the hell did we get here? What is it? Is it elif? It might be elif. Okay. So in an elif, elif means else if. Okay, so if you want to do
Uh-huh.
a bunch of if statements all in a row, then you do if, elif, elif, elif. You can keep going elifs down until you hit your else. So in this case, I'm saying if begin equals 29, say I'm at 29 bitches. Else if, or elif, begin does not equal 29, print I'm not 29 homos. And then if somehow we don't fall under begin equals 29 or begin does not equal 29, I'm going to print out how the hell did we get here, because that seems like an impossibility. I guess if for some reason it printed out the word taco, then it would trigger this. That seems unlikely with our setup here. So here we have I'm not at 29 homos, 32, I'm not at 29, 31, all the way down to 29. I'm at 29 bitches. And then it goes back to I'm not at 29 homos, and then you did it. So
Wow.
this is completely politically incorrect, unless I'm talking about Homo sapiens, in which case people don't have to worry about me being homophobic. Maybe. Okay, so that's how you can incorporate additional instances of if instead of just doing a bunch of if. So what we're gonna kind of go into a little. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I feel like that one isn't one that you wanted to focus on right now.
Well, I mean, if you want to go into it a little bit
Nah.
more, then we should while it's fresh in your mind.
We'll go on to what lesson you had planned.
Okay. So I want to let's make a new file here.
Okay.
We're going to let's first save it in the appropriate format. Just call it arrays, and make sure you name it.
So save as, right?
Yep, save as, and then make sure you choose the save as type as being Python. And then if you do name it arrays and hit save, I don't know what the hell's wrong with my system.
Py?
Yeah, it should come up as arrays.py.
Okay.
For some reason mine is being... Okay, fine.
Oh, mine just changed the food.py to arrays.py now. I didn't see how yours has two different...
Yeah, you'd go up to file to new file.
Oh, damn it. Let's do that first.
You can change yours back to food.py or make another one called food.py, and that'll be arrays.py. We'll just keep mixing them. It'll be great.
File new. There we go. arrays.py. Okay.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go over briefly what an array is. Now, an array is kind of an important data structure. It So basically, it's a list of information that's kind of given to you all at the same time, right? So
Okay.
an array, let's just say I'm going to make an array called taco stuff, and you define an array with brackets. Okay, these square brackets.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically do a comma-separated list. Now, we're going to be using integers right now, but I'm going to give two examples, one using integers and one using strings, okay? So for taco stuff, actually, let me make a new one here called random int. And we're going to have 8, 2, 4, 9, 1, 7, 4. And then for taco stuff, so for integers, you don't have to put any kind of characteristic to it, right? You just type in the number and you're good. For strings, though, you have to put in double quotes to indicate that it's a string. So you put like cheese, shell,
Oh.
lettuce, meat, diarrhea. Is that how you spell it? Is it just one? It's one of those. Salsa. Okay, so we have this array here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So we have this array here of cheese, shell, lettuce, meat, diarrhea, salsa. Gosh,
Diarrhea salsa.
Okay. And so what we can do with these is you can you may notice that because they're separated by commas, they each have their own different place inside of the array. And you can find that by calling on the index of it. The index is basically its position in the array. So over on this terminal screen here, I'm going to go into this little text UI here and kind of give you an example. So we're going to have array int equal to, I'm going to make this a bit of a smaller one to kind of give an example, but to, I do it again. Okay, we'll do that many. So I'm going to have a new array called here called array int, right?
Okay.
Now here's something that we can do. If I do array int and then I type in a number, so it's array int, and I want index placeholder 1, what value do you think it's going to kick back to me?
8. What the shit?
Okay.
Oh, it's 0, 8?
Yeah. So in dealing with spaces, and this is the thing that you're going to come across a lot because part of programming revolves around this and part of it doesn't. And so you have to kind of keep in mind that 0 is where the numbers begin, not 1. So array int of 0 is 8. And array int of 4 is like saying, what's the 5th placeholder, not the 4th one?
9.
No.
Wait. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 1.
Yeah. And I was going to check on this earlier and I didn't, but what do you think this is going to return?
A error? Does it count? Oh, it just goes backwards in the list?
Yeah, exactly. So think of it as like a giant circle, and it kind of goes on, I think, forever. Let me... No, it doesn't. Okay. Maybe it's just a -1. I don't know how far back it goes. Okay, so maybe it's only one time.
Boring.
Okay, there it is. Okay, it only goes back one time.
So it can be 0 and -6. Interesting.
Yes, yes, and
Okay.
can we do 7? No. Okay. 7 would repeat it back from the end of it to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you basically have the values going forward and backward, but once in either direction. Um,
Okay.
and that kind of makes it nice because if so over here in the coding screen, if we want to call on a specific index of this array, we can tell the program exactly where that value is at. So we don't have to say, look through taco stuff, the array of taco stuff, until you find lettuce. We can just say taco stuff taco stuff 2, and now we're telling it to go and grab lettuce. Okay, we're not going to be using that portion. I just wanted to show you that you can call on it that way. Like because these are integers up here and these are strings, you don't have to put in the string. Like you wouldn't put in. That's not how you do that. It's the numerical index value of where that is at.
Um, why won't it, like if I hit enter, oh, do I have to bring it back into to Python to run it?
Yeah, you'd have to run it in run it over here in the command line, but you'd have to say print,
Oh, okay.
right? You'd have to say print
Right.
taco stuff,
Two.
and then running
Okay.
that should return back lettuce. Um, so
Example of when that would come in handy.
an example of we're gonna try to do a little demonstration of it a little bit
Okay.
um, later. I just kind of want to get the basics of how you
Yeah.
can specifically call a particular uh, um, point of the array, a particular index, without having to go through the entire index to find it. Um, uh, so,
Could you do the opposite and see what number a word is associated with, or a quoted word? Does that make sense? So if you had a list of 100 things and you wanted to know what number it is, could you do the opposite?
oh, we may be able to. That's probably a good thing that we can search for. I'm gonna put that over. Um,
I don't know why that would become like if you had a group of a score of 89, but it's random, like 100 kids,
yeah,
then you could bring back who all got 89. It would give you,
gotcha.
right?
We're gonna look up and see if there's a library for that in a few minutes. Um,
Okay.
Actually, looking up a library is part of my notes for this lesson. So we're gonna put a little pin in that, and we're gonna come back to it in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
Okay.
so do you have any questions on what an array is and how to call out a specific index of that array?
No, that one makes more sense than a lot of the other stuff does.
Okay. So we're gonna get into a for statement. Um, as I briefly covered in the last lesson, and very briefly, a for statement is going to take a list or an array and allow you to interact with each element uh, in that list or that array and do something with it, right? So each of these is in its own element. So we have an array taco
Okay.
stuff, and we have an element called shell. We have an element called
Okay.
7 in random int. So when I say element, that's what I mean.
Mhm.
So to do this, we can say for x in random int. I'm going to pause right here to explain what this is doing. when I say for x in random int, I'm saying that for random int, I am assigning a variable x. And this value of x is going to change for each step in random int, right? So starting with the first index of random int, x is going to equal 8. And then in the next step, x is going to equal 2. And then x is going to equal 4. And then x is going to equal 9. So it's basically looping through the entire array where x is changing its value each time that you loop through for each index of whatever element that you're looking at next. So for x in random int, print x. So this is just briefly going to show you, and hopefully it's going to print out this way, but it should print out 8249174 in order and on different lines. So if I run this from my command line, well, it first prints out lettuce because I didn't take off this other line, but there we go. We have 8249174.
Let's see if I get this right. Nope, syntax error.
Share your screen so I can see what you got on your. So in the top right of your screen that you're viewing, you should see the 3 dots going down.
I want to share this one.
Okay, so the
Do I need to
taco
delete
stuff,
this?
the taco stuff too. You don't delete it. Actually, put it back in, but you need to put square brackets. So not the curly brackets, but the square brackets. So it's the same format as the taco stuff array. Yeah.
Like that?
Yep. Try running that.
Control S. And then is it up that you hit?
Yep. Up to repeat the last command. Cool.
You said print.
Okay, yeah, you have
print
to put
taco stuff too. Why did mine?
You just said taco stuff too. You didn't say print.
Oh. Oh shit. That.
Okay.
There you go.
So this comes in handy if you're getting like a stream of data coming in from somewhere, and you need to do something with each value that's coming in, right? So we're gonna get rid of this print x here and for x in random int. So we're just gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna say so we have for x in random int. So for each of the values that we get in, we're going to have a let's do a new variable. So we're going to do y equals x times 3.
Oops.
And then we're going to print y. And then let's go ahead and run that. Okay, so now we have the values that are tripled. Okay, that might just seem like, okay, well, I don't see how that's different than anything else that we've been doing. We could have done a while and maybe gone through those, but we can also do a while. Like I said, we can incorporate ifs into this. So we're gonna get rid of y and print y. We're gonna do something here. We're gonna do if x, or parentheses x equals, let's do greater than or equal to 4. Okay. Print x times 2, else print this index is less than 4. Okay, so what do you think that this is going to do? Like, tell me what you think the output is going to be once we run this.
Let's see. So if the x value, anyways, is greater than or equal to x, that's what I did, x times 2, so you would do, if it's greater than 4, it would be the value times 2. If it's less than 4, then it would just print that the value is less than 4.
Okay, so
Any multiplication.
so for 8, what do you think 8 is going to return?
8, 16.
And 2?
Did you do plus 2 or times 2?
I did times 2. This is an asterisk here.
What?
I did times.
So 8 times 2 is 16, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I must have cut out. So what do you think the next placeholder is going to be? So when 2 comes around, what do you think is going to happen when 2 is x? Hello? Oh,
Yes.
are you still there?
Yeah, I'm getting like every other word.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
So let's. Can you see this at all, or is that too small? Let's.
Now I can see that. See if how do I look to see how my computer's running on a Mac? It'll return with this index is less than 4.
Okay. Um.
Let's see. Or is that right?
Of random int.
14.
Okay. So let's run this. Yeah, and you got 16, which is right. You got this index is less than 4, which is right. And you have 14 as the 5th placeholder, or the 5th index of that array. Okay. So I mean, this is something that you could do when you're getting a whole bunch of data, that you can kind of sort through the data and do the right things with the right pieces of information, and ignore the other pieces of information that maybe don't apply to what you're working on.
Okay.
If you want to see how your system is doing, um, in the top right, that magnifying glass, click on that and type in system.
System?
Yep. Okay. Oh. Uh, system. Uh, erase that and type in monitor. Activity monitor. Yeah. Open that up. Okay. Go over to your memory. In
Where?
the
Oh,
top. Yeah. Go to your network tab. Okay. Open up a browser and go to speedtest.net. Are you piggybacking off of um, landlord?
what's that?
Are you piggybacking using the Wi-Fi of um, the
Yeah.
upstairs? Okay.
They have two different uh, names that they have set up, and they're having us use one, and they're using the other one.
Gotcha. That's not. I
So,
mean, that's not. It's not bad. Um, go back to your system activity monitoring. Um, yeah, over to memory. And then back over to CPU. Well, from what I'm seeing that Chrome is making Chrome slow.
okay.
So there's really not a lot that can be done about that. Um, yeah.
All right.
I mean, something we could try is you could try disabling your webcam video so that it's not having to worry about processing images on your system and then sending it out, but just trying to receive images, and then we could
Mm-hmm.
activate it when I need to check your code and see what the error is.
I mean, I can hear you perfectly now, so I don't
Okay.
get what's happening.
Um.
If it starts up again, then I'll end the screen share and
Okay. Okay. So. Um. Okay. So yeah, a for loop is allowing you to basically interact with uh, various pieces of information that's being sent to you instead of trying to interact with the entire subset of information at one time. So we're going to break out of this for loop, and we're gonna go into a different loop for taco stuff. Okay. So we're gonna do for y in taco stuff. We're just going to print something out. With tacos, we get, and now here's something fun that we can do with it, because y changes over time. We don't want to have to type out this line, 7 times or 6 times, however many indexes there are in taco stuff. But we want a way to reference taco stuff while it's changing, right? While the index that we're calling back is changing. So what we're going to do is we're going to say taco stuff, and we're going to put in y here. Hope I put a 7 in. Okay. I was wondering why that looked like that. We're gonna try this. I'm actually a little bit. I don't know if that's gonna work. Let me. Okay. Okay, we're gonna make a counter. Okay. So here we have, for y and taco stuff, we're gonna make a new variable called counter. We're gonna assign it the value of 0. Okay. And here we're gonna use a while statement to help us out. So we're gonna say while counter we have to, counter is less than taco stuff dot size. We're going to put this print underneath the while statement. And for the taco stuff, we're going to put in counter. Okay, we're going to actually have to do a few things here. It's going to seem complicated, but just roll with me, and I'll explain it as we go through it. Okay. And let me. Or is that already? Oh, that already is a string. Oh, son of a. Has no. Oh, okay. We may have to look up the. Okay, I guess we'll have to kind of cheat here for a second. So we know that the size of this array, how many indexes there are, that there are 6 indexes, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to set this counter to 6. Is less than. Change the less than to greater than, so it's greater than 0. Okay. The counter is equal to 6 for y and taco stuff, while the counter is greater than 0, which is at 6 right now. We're going to print with tacos we get. So this plus symbol here is if you want to add values to a string, you can do it using the plus symbol, and this is helpful when you're trying to add variables into a string, because the variables might change over time, right? Like we're trying to get here. We're trying to get it to say, with tacos we get, I think it's actually going to do it in backwards order here, but it's going to do
Salsa diarrhea.
There's salsa, diarrhea, meat, lettuce, shell, cheese. Actually, I think we have to start with 5 because there are only 5 indexes in the array, or up to 5 because it starts with a 0, right?
4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're saying we want to print this, and then we want to subtract 1 from the counter so the next time it goes through, it's going to print off the 4th element, and then the 3rd, and then the 2nd, and then the 1st, all the way down. So if we run that, we get the random int stuff at the top. For y and taco stuff. Wait a second.
Uh-oh. I need to...
Oh, you indented the for y and taco stuff. Shouldn't be indented.
Oh.
Because right there, it's thinking that it should be part of a different loop or method, and there's nothing defining it like that, and so it's throwing off Python.
No wonder it looked different than yours.
Yeah.
Hawaiian taco stuff. Oh. Oops, I see.
That's actually not it. It's going to give you the same error. You forgot the colon. So while counter greater than or equal to 0, close parentheses, colon. Yeah. Okay, next error. Stir taco stuff. Oh, remove the str from taco stuff. I'll show you what I was trying to do with the str there in a second.
There we go.
Okay, so I'll show you over on this terminal here why I was trying to do a str taco string. So if I have x equals 7, and I want to print I like the number that, right? So it says print I like the number plus x, x is 7. I should be able to hit enter and it should print back I like the number 7, right? Oh, you get this error. It says cannot concatenate string and integer objects. So it's saying, look, you gave me an integer, you gave me a number, and I know that those two don't play well together, so I'm not going to do that. Fix it. So now what I have to do is I have to convert x into a string. To do that, I do str, and then in parentheses I put the x. So now I'm saying, okay, whatever x comes out to, whatever number, I want you to pretend like that's a string, and then concatenate it onto I like the number. So if I hit that, then it comes back and says I like the number 7. Or in this case, the str, the string of x, is not a number, it's a string, and the string is 7. So I was thinking that over here, I was going to be returning back the index value instead of the, I guess the index placeholder number instead of the value in that index. And so I thought I was going to have to put a string around that to convert it, but I ended up being wrong in that. So instead, you just have to put the string, the plus, and then since we're returning a string, then we can do that. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Could you? I don't know if this is applicable to anything more than just my own curiosity. And could you get where the first line after you, let's see, am I still sharing? Yeah. to where the first line just says this, and then the next lines don't have any of these
Um,
over. So it would just list this, and then there would be a line, and it would just be this list going down.
okay, so with tacos we get salsa, comma, diarrhea, comma, meat, comma, lettuce, comma, shell, comma, cheese, comma,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Okay.
something. Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's give it a go. For Z and taco stuff. Just going to loop through that over and over. Yeah, let's give this a go. Let's do
Should you do when it is 8? You write with tacos we get not 8. You just write out. Oh crap! I was looking at random.
yeah. So let's have our
If it's
phrase here.
not,
Okay. With tacos we get um okay, we're actually not gonna we're gonna do that there. So our phrase is with tacos we get, right? So we're going to actually we have to define this outside. And I'll show you why here in a second. So we're going to put that outside of this column,
okay.
and we're going to say for ZN taco stuff, um, yeah, let's get our counter. Yeah, counter equals. Let's go from the bottom up this time. So 0. Okay. While counter. Oh, I have to put this parentheses counter. We're going to switch the signs here since we're counting up. It is less than or equal to 5. Let me think about this. I'm gonna do something real quick right here to see how it's doing an order of operations. I'm actually going to take this stuff. I'm going to can I okay. So I just commented out everything. And this thing as well. I'm going to run. Oh, that's not it. Okay. I didn't put an end timer on here. Counter minus or plus equals -1. Oh, counter. Okay. Well, crap. Hold on. No, I'm counting up. Why did I do a -1? I'm okay. Okay, so I was doing cheese. Okay, just doing it in that. So that's already looping, so we don't have to tell it to loop again. All right, so for Z in taco stuff, we're going to do print phrase. This is outside of the for Z in taco stuff, but I'm going to rename what phrase is equals get plus, we're going to go with Z. That's going to override it each time, though. I have to come back to this and figure this out later.
Sorry.
Okay.
Don't worry about
This
it.
is just going to print off also the last one.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I just was.
I'll
I like lists.
okay.
So
I'll figure out that for next time, and we'll yeah, good questions though. They're good ones. Um,
I don't know about good, but they're
they're
questions.
challenging. They're challenging.
There we go.
Um,
Because nobody would ask that.
well, no. I mean, I'm sure there are reasons for it. I'm sure I'm making it more difficult than it needs to be, and that's kind of um, one of my personal stresses with coding is I know that somewhere out there there's an easy way of doing this, and I'm thinking of like the most difficult and convoluted way of doing it. Okay.
Anyways.
Okay, so that's kind of what a for loop is. You can do it
Okay.
with full string, so it doesn't have to be in an array. If I did something like x equals, I wish I had done that last question better, right?
Mm-hmm.
For y in x, print or print y. Okay, do something like this where I have this variable of x, which is this really long string, and then I'm saying, okay, for each index called y in this string, which is x, I want you to print y. What do you think it's going to do with this?
I have no idea. I have no guess.
Okay, so I'm gonna print this out here, and it's taking each individual letter as an index, including spaces.
Oh, is that because there's no quote?
What do you mean quote?
So, sorry, no quotes, like where you put cheese in quotes, shell in quotes, lettuce in quotes, meat in quotes.
Yeah,
Is
so
that why it did each, thinking it was
I mean, yeah, so you have this array up here, right? And for this array, we have individual indexes. And in this array, we have index 0, which is cheese. But down here, think of this as like a one element array.
okay?
And within that, I'm asking for it to iterate through the indexes of that one element. And an index is basically a placeholder for where a value is at. So the so basically, like if I were to say print x of 0, or I'm sorry, print x 0 instead of print y, for each, so basically it's going to go to 0, index placeholder of 0, and it's going
Okay.
to come in here and it's going to say, oh, you want me to print that, print x 0. It's going to print I, and then it's going to go to the next one and say, okay, I'm in here, what do you want me to do? It's going to come in here and it's still going to print I, because I'm saying just print x 0. So if I were to run this, I could just get a bunch of i's all in a row. Because I went through this, and each time I got to a new space, I printed out I. For whatever reason, we did it. And so if with this up here, with this full array, I'm going to uncomment this last thing that we did. So for this here, for y and taco stuff, I'm actually going to comment out these 3 lines.
Oh, you don't actually have to go to the start of the line?
No. No, really, if you could put a hashtag in anywhere, it should work. I just do it more or less for conformity. So for here, why isn't this? Okay. For Y and taco stuff. So taco stuff is this array, right? So say I want to spell out every single word of this array. Well, I can do another for loop inside of that. So if I do for Z in Y, okay, so now we're grabbing Y, whatever Y is, and we're making another task for what's below it. So for Z in Y, print Z. So now it's going to go through and it's going to first take cheese, and when it gets to cheese, it's going to go, oh, you want me to do something with this for Z and Y. Okay, you want me to iterate through all the indexes. So it's going to go Y of 0, which is C, then Y of 1, which is H, and then E, E, S, E, and then when it gets to the end of that, it's going to go, oh, okay, I'm done with that. It's going to go back up to the 4 and go, oh, we're not done yet, because I just did 0, and this array has 6 elements in it, so I got to go to the next one. And it's going to do that, and it's just going to spell out along the side here, cheese, shell, lettuce, meat, diarrhea, salsa.
Really?
Shit. Hold on. Okay. It was indented in. Damn it. Okay. So now it spells out cheese, shell, lettuce, meat, diarrhea, and salsa. Now there could be instances where you have like really large objects in here. Like you could have an array within an array, for instance.
What? That's like Inception, but for coding.
I know. When I was doing my Google interview, I told her I didn't want to do something in particular because it felt like I would be Googling Google and it would make the universe implode. And she didn't even like smile.
Didn't even crack a smile?
No, not even a slight little grin. It was more like a, okay, what are you gonna do? I'm like, all right, sorry for telling a joke. So I mean that's basically the purpose of a for statement. You got to iterate through the index of whatever it is that you have, and make it do stuff for you. Now we've already been going for about an hour now.
Yeah, I know.
And I want to kind of show you an example of something that you can do with a, I guess not really with with an array. Okay. So earlier today, I was talking with Jack, and I was telling him that I was a bit reluctant to join in with some friends and play Dungeons and Dragons. So I told him there's a certain stigmatism that comes with that. Like, as soon as you tell people that you play Dungeons and Dragons, the immediate thought is, oh, this guy's not only a virgin, but he has no ability to not become a virgin anytime in the near future. and while I generally don't care what people think about me, I feel that it kind of immediately dismisses part of me to them just inherently because of that. So I was a bit reluctant, and then I went and watched some videos advertising it, and they sold me on it. So I was going to start playing Dungeons & Dragons. So I did some reading about it and figured that because the game is very much so reliant on dice, I wanted to make a means of using dice to create a new character. So I don't care what it is that I roll. Whatever it is that comes out, I'm going to stick with it. So let's create a new file here. And we're going to call it, so we're going to do save as. We're going to use file name character. I'm going to put it in as a Python. No idea why it does that. Son of a... Whenever I'll have to figure this out on my side, but I'll put it in as that, and then it won't save it as Python. It just saves it as a text document. It's retarded. Okay. So I have this information already. I'm going to send it over to you. The array, because it's kind of a longer array. So let me. Oh crap! Where's that?
How hard would it be for you to take control of my desktop, my computer?
I mean, pretty hard without your permission. Like right now, do stuff on your computer?
Yeah,
It'd be a bit difficult.
but you can do that.
I don't know. No, I'm not gonna say yes. I also don't want to say no. So I just sent you in Google Chat an array. So copy that and paste it into your yeah. Okay, great.
Ah, damn it.
So go ahead and save that and go back to the beginning. So these are all the races that you can be. It doesn't include sub races in Dungeons and Dragons. It's just the main races, okay? And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use a new library. So earlier on, you asked if there's a way to look up the index of a particular value in an array.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're gonna do is we're going to figure that out by doing an awesome Google search. And we're just going to type it in, because I don't know if there is, and there very well could be. So what we're looking for is a library or a module that does that. Okay, so reverse index lookup in array Python. And here we have something from July 17th, 2017. Stack Overflow. I'll zoom in here. Stack Overflow is a wonderful resource. People ask questions here all the time, not just in Python, but in so many things related to programming. If you can find a topic on Stack Overflow, they'll likely not just give you the right answer, but they'll link to you the pages that you're looking for to give you additional information about the topic in question. So we're just gonna click on this one and see. I'm extracting a submatrix from a quadratic matrix. What the hell? Okay, this isn't the right one. Inverse dictionary lookup in Python. Here we go. Okay, great. Straight up, they tell you there isn't a way to do it in Python.
Okay.
So you can either sit down and try to make up one of your own, or figure out a different way of getting that value. So now instead of spending hours looking for it, you kind of have your answer and you have a different way of approaching it. But what we're going to be looking for right here, because we want to simulate dice rolling, right? Because that's what you do in Dungeons and Dragons. So what we're going to look up is random number generator Python. Okay, we have some pages here. We got Python documents. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to give us a whole bunch of information that seems really doused in mathematics. The main thing that we want to look at here is this. We have this lib random.py. What this tells us is that we can import something called random into our program, and we can use it to do anything that you see on this page. So we're going to go through and just take briefly a look at some of these. So we have random.seed, initialize internal state, no. Get state, we don't care about that. We don't want to set the state, we don't want to jump ahead. We're looking for something like this, random.randint ab. Return a random integer n so that this statement is true. Okay, so you have a, which is here, the number that it returns, and then b. So you basically put in a minimum and a maximum, and it'll return a whole integer value including those endpoints, right? So,
Okay.
so here in this little text editor thing, I'm going to kind of show what that looks like. So if I import random, okay, and then I say print random dot rand int, let's do 1 and 2. So it's going to spit back either a 1 or a 2 when I run this. So what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, there's a library out there or a module out there called random. We want to use it, and we're going to differentiate the different programs and methods that run under random by calling it, which we have here, random.
Okay.
And then we found out the name of the method we want to use from their documentation. It's called randint. And here's the format right here, AB.
So is that random integer
Yeah, yeah. So if we
between
were,
1 and 2?
yeah, including 1 and 2. Okay, so if we hit enter,
Oh, right.
it's going to give us 2. Now if we hit up and enter again, it might give us 2 again. It might give us 1. And we can keep doing that, and it's going to randomly choose 1 or 2. So we can do this with a larger subset. We can say 1 and 20. Oh, you forgot to close your parentheses. So you open the parentheses for print, and then you have to close it. Oh, you don't have to type in the import random again. It's already there for your session. Oh, and here you can also hit up and down to.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, try running that. Can I've hit up and enter?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's
So
nifty.
if I change that to 1 and 20, so it begins with 1, ends with 20, we can see that it's just going to return back a random value, which is really cool, right? Because now we have a way of randomly choosing an index of an array.
What?
Yeah, so here in our
You
main,
just
it just blow your mind.
randomly. Well, it's nice to see, like, okay, you're like teaching. Let's see why I ever need
Yeah,
this.
yeah, and that's why I'm kind of going over on our time a little bit, because I really want you to be able to see why it's important to know this, right? So we're going to import random here. And random is already part of the Python library. If you ever got something back that says, I can't import random because I don't know what it is, you might have to go out and download it. And I'll later on when we get into Selenium WebDriver, we'll have to do that. But for now, we're going to use just things that are basic to the Python setup. So we have import random. We have this race array. So what we want to do is we want to create a random value and then choose that race for our Dungeons and Dragons character. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing as before. Let's count up how many elements we have in this array, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So even though there are 9, what do we know about arrays and how they're indexed? What's the starting value?
0.
Yeah. So what do you think the ending placeholder value is going to be in an array size 9?
8.
8. Yeah. So let's use what we learned over here, this same syntax of print randint, and let's do something over here. So let's assign it to a variable. So let's just put it in as x. Okay. So x equals random dot rand int 0, 8. And now x is going to, when it's called on, it's going to develop a random integer between 0 and 8, including 0 and 8. And now we can do our print, right? So we can do print your class or your race is now, and now we want to add in this. So what do you think we're going to put here to include that?
Wait 2 seconds.
Okay.
Your race is now.
It's a bit of a tricky question, so take your time and think about it. Because what do we want to return from what are we looking for a value?
What the index is? Which index it chose?
Yeah, we're looking for the index of what?
The list of races?
Yeah, so we're looking for it to return the index that it chose here as it pertains to race, the array. So using stuff that we've learned before, I just want you to take a guess at what you think should go right here. And I don't mean to embarrass you or put you on the spot. I mean, I mean to put you on the spot, but I want your mind to be flowing with it instead of me just feeding you thoughts.
But your thoughts are usually right.
Okay. Well, I don't know. We spent about 10 minutes there on something I couldn't figure out.
That's what I said usually.
Usually, okay.
Your race is now. I don't know what to put in there, but I assume it would assign you a race based off of the random number between 0 and 8 that it chooses.
Yeah. So let's.
But I don't know what you put in there. You just leave it blank, right?
Well, we can't leave it blank because it's expecting something back, right? This plus is saying that there has to be something here. So what we're going to do is we want to call the entire array here of race. So we're saying we want race.
Oh.
Okay. And now in this bracket here, what do you think we're going to put in?
What the random number was.
Okay, and what is that equal?
X.
X.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're saying your race is now, and it's going to go to race, which is this array up here.
Yes.
And it's the entirety of this, but we're saying, okay, we don't want you to bring back everything. We want you to bring back X. And so the system's going to go, oh, okay, let's take a look at X. X is a random integer between 0 and 8. So it can be any one of these.
It's going to assign, well, it already, okay.
Yeah, so as soon as it rolls that and says, okay, 7, it's going to return back as though this said race of 7.
Okay.
Okay. Now, just to be certain, what we want to do is we want to print X. Okay, so it's going to tell us the race, and then it's going to tell us the roll, and we're going to double check our output with our array to make sure it returned back the right value. Let's come over into our command line here and run.
Oh crap! What happened?
Looks like you closed it down. Go ahead and open up a new file, or not a new file yet. Open.
Let's just do this.
You could do open recent. reopen close file of that one.
Ah.
Okay. Yes, come over to here and make sure you change it from running Python array.py to Python character.py.
How do I
Oh, yeah,
do
you
that
gotta
again?
escape out of that. You're still in the.
How do I stop that?
So hit like Control Z.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Python.
Did I type it wrong?
You typed in Python, which is wonderful. Okay, so now you have this output of your race is now half orc. I got gnome because they're random, and it shows that your index roll was 7 and mine was 5. So let's double check those. If we go over, we got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is gnome. That's what my output was. Yours was 7, which is half orc, and that's what you got back. So we can run this over and over again. My race is now halfling of 2, which is right. You can run this over and over and randomly assign your character a race. And this,
What?
so with just a few lines of code here, with what, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of code, you can randomly assign a value. Now you have your own programmed dice roll. And you could even take it down and do it in 2 lines and have a dice roll. So if for some reason, and I don't know why, but you're playing a board game and someone has misplaced the dice, you can do this. You can program it to give you back a random number and just run it whenever someone needs to roll the dice. It might be less disruptive and it won't, break things on the board. So,
But this is better because you can have more than 6 outcomes.
yeah, if you want to have a 7-sided die, the system doesn't care about that. You can do that. Whether or not you can actually physically shape a 7-sided die so it has an even chance of hitting on all sides, that's completely irrelevant.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, if you have a big enough or a small enough object that you're working with, you can make, a 1 million sided die. The nice thing is, though, you don't have to spend 13 years of your life making a 1 million sided die out of the biggest redwood tree in the forest. You can write a 2-line program and do that for you instead and save yourself 13 years of sadness and blisters. So that's really the convenience of using an array and being able to play with it is that as information is coming in, you could do with it whatever it is that you want. In this case, we used this information that we have to now start up a new character for Dungeons and Dragons, and I plan to do it for the rest of it. Like, should I switch over tabs here? We're not going to do all these, but you have different classes that you can choose from, a gender, you can give them a background and a focus. So I was going to go through and do a random rolling of this. But I'll show you this that I did earlier. This is a little bit more complex, but I'm basically taking this race and I'm saying, okay, let's pretend there are 9 players and none of the 9 players can have the same race as each other. So I incorporated something here that we didn't cover, and that's .remove. So with this array, I am saying, okay, once I've used a value from this array, I want to remove it from the array so it can't be chosen again.
Okay.
And I keep doing that until there aren't any players left. All right, so if I were to run this one, what do I call it, messing.py. So I have player 9 is race Dragonborn. because player 9 rolled a 4. Player 8 is tiefling, and then half-elf, and then gnome, and then a human. And something that you should notice here is that here I have an index of 3, and another index of 3, but they return different values. The reason why they return different values is because the size of the array is changing every time I do the roll, which
I see.
actually was an error that I had, because over here we have 0 and 8. But if we were constantly reducing it, we couldn't say 0, 8, because it might roll an 8, and now the array is only 7 long.
Right. Would it just count through it again?
No, because remember when we got to
No.
the end,
No.
it gave an error and said this
It
is
didn't.
outside of
Yeah.
the range. So instead, I implemented a counter using the same number of players, and I just said, okay, each time I use one, I'm going to make this this random int roll that I do be between 0 and the current number of races or the number of players minus 1. And then I was able to iterate through over and over so that we have all these players being assigned different roles. So, and the thing is that I'm like reinventing the wheel with this. I'm just doing this for practice, because there is literally a website you can go to that will roll everything for you, not just this stuff, but like everything, because you have to roll for like strength and wisdom and different traits and stuff. You can click on a button that's just gonna automatically assign you all this information. But
Are you doing the same thing?
but yeah, I just figured I would kind of do my own thing and see what I can figure out with it. But
Huh.
but you can do this with arrays. You can do this with a stream of information, and it just makes things convenient. And it cleans up your code quite a bit, so that like my output here, this shows 20, but I have 4 lines of code here and a bunch of spaces. So I got like 13 lines of code, and I'm printing out 20 lines as a result, and every single one of these 20 lines is needed in this output.
Right.
So, anyway, I'll. Do you have any questions about what we covered?
No, I think it's cool stuff.
Okay.
I think it's very. I don't think I could redo this
Okay.
as of now, but
Well, let's go
but
over
I could. I mean,
some more exercises next time in using
yeah, I
arrays
think
and what we've learned so far, and we'll see if we can get you to where you can. It doesn't need to be fast, right? I'm not expecting you to be able to fly through it like I am, but
right.
if you can even just stumble your way through it, then that's fine. I mean, with practice comes efficiency.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll go through this information again next time and throw in a couple of little curveballs there to keep you thinking. And in the meantime, try to do something with it, even if it's horribly wrong. You keep getting errors and you get frustrated and you end up punching a homeless man and kicking a dog or something. Just try something, and then when we get together again next week, I'll review. We'll go over what it is that you were trying to do, and we'll figure out how to do it together.
Deal.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, if in the process you do get frustrated before you kick the dog, but after you punch the homeless guy, if you want to send me a chat or an email and let me know that you're getting frustrated, I'd be happy to take a look. But I mean, every now and then you just got to punch a hobo. That's just kind of
yeah.
It's kind of a given.
It's one of life's great things, right?
Yeah. Okay, dude. Sorry for taking up some extra time. I'll try to keep things railed in.
Nope, you're good. Hey, it's only 7:30. We're good. It's only been a half hour.
Wait. Oh, you're looking at my clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Time travel. All right.
Yeah. Okay, well, have a good one. Thank you
Yeah,
for
you're
taking your time.
very welcome, and we'll get you there. Don't worry about it. Don't get frustrated. We'll get you there.
Okay.
Okay, have a good night, dude.
Hey, thanks. You too.
Yep, bye.